around the world from Brisbane, Australia.
Our performance is based off a Rube Goldberg machine with a series of chain reactions to trigger the different robots. As our name suggests, we have robots from different countries around the world, including Australia, China, South Africa, and the United States.
Matilda the Kangaroo uses two daisy-chained EV3s in a master-slave relationship. One EV3 is connected to the wheel motors and is also in control of the other EV3, which controls a jumping mechanism, a dual motor system with gears to simultaneously move a platform which the Kangaroo is secured to. Billy the Bean, the Joey in Matilda's pouch, is controlled using an Arduino Nano. It uses an inertial measurement unit, or IMU, to detect which direction the base is moving in, then turn the servo motor with the head to match. Max and Matilda's EV3s are connected via Bluetooth. Max will choose and transmit a random number between 1 and 6, then they will both perform the matching random movement from an if and else if statement. Max's EV3 has a wooden base, clawfoot shell, color sensor, pixie camera, IMU and windscreen wipers. The camera uses PID controllers to track and follow the green wand, using the past, present and predicted values to estimate where it needs to go. The PID values in the code are scalars based on importance, with the top controller for the X and the bottom for the Y direction. These values are combined and fed into a custom My block to move the motors. Custom printed circuit boards, PCBs, were made for the headlights, as well as a breakout board for the two Arduino Nanos and pin outputs. Like Matilda, an IMU is used to detect the direction and flash the indicators accordingly. The Arduinos use serial communication to send messages telling them which indicators to flash. The program uses the Miller's function rather than delays to avoid stopping the entire Arduino.
Graty has an ultrasonic sensor, power supply board, servo, solder board, and Arduino Uno. The JavaScript programming uses random programming functions and takes advantage of the sphere's accelerometer and the gyroscope.
Terry is our Terracotta warrior from China. He is triggered by a sphere rolling into a button on his side, then moves with his Omni base across the mat. His head and arms are powered by servo motors, controlled by a custom PCB. Terry's arms, head and legs are made from paper mache, but his body is made from light foam plates held together by metal poles and rods. We use the same omnidirectional base for both Terry and Leo, comprised of a power board, motor controller board, and an Arduino microcontroller. Both the Arduino and the power board were pre-made, but we found the motor controller board in some of the robotics department's old parts and used it, as it had 4 motor ports. The PCB is similar to an L289N motor controller in design and function, but it has 4 ports instead of 2. Getting the bases to work was a challenge. Some of the motors were powered more than others, which made the robots drift. We ended up having to modify some bits of our dance to account for this.
Leo is outlined and utilises a combination of both LEGO and custom mechanics. It's built from LEGO EV3 and is mounted onto the custom Omni base, which is the same style base that Terry uses. Originally, Leo was supposed to walk around unassisted, but it was a challenge to hold its own weight and get a turning mechanism functioning. It is triggered by an ultrasonic sensor that allows both the base and the body to move at the same time. We included an IMU to make the movements of the Omni base precise, as it was a major issue changing the values each time to ensure that Leo would travel in a straight line. Leo walks using a 4-bar linkage system that creates an offset shoulder movement to make the line more realistic. There were many prototypes laser cut to test the linkage, but in the end it was replicated the easiest in LEGO. In addition, Leo also turns his head to the beat of the song playing, which is Hakuna Matata.
Ricky is programmed using C++ and has an Arduino ultrasonic sensor and NeoPixel Adafruit with 64 RGB lights, which are programmed with preset colors. The Roku also has a power supply board on Arduino Uno. The pin release mechanism uses functions and is one of many versions, including the unreliable original rubber band and gear release, which then became the rack and half sheared gear, which had too many variables, and eventually another pin release mechanism, which we 3D printed but could not hold under the pressure.
In Australia, we haven't been impacted too hard by COVID recently, but have still had many challenges. Last year, we were in a strict stay-at-home lockdown from March to July. During this time, we could not work on robots, but we still had virtual sessions.
Twice a week, we would hold meetings on Microsoft Teams, in which the coaches would teach us skills for PCB designs, making laser cuts, and 3D printed pieces, as well as coding. By the end of the lockdown, we had many parts designed and ready to be sent off for printing or cutting.
We also had many snap lockdowns, some lasting only 3 days, but they prevented many of our longer weekend sessions leading up to the event. But we often managed to get our robots from school and held virtual meetings together to continue working on them.
Thank you, and we hope you enjoy.